Last time we met Sarawak, a Bornean kingdom ruled by one Englishman and his family for 100 years. Strange, right? Well, meet the neighbor, because the land next door wasn't ruled by a king or a sultan or a country. It was run by a company, like a business, with shareholders. This is the genuinely bizarre story of Sabah, the land below the wind. First, that gorgeous name. Long ago, sailors noticed something handy about this corner of Borneo. It sat just below the typhoon belt. The big storms that battered the seas to the north usually missed it. So sailors called it the land below the wind, a safe harbor beneath the storms. Honestly, one of the most beautiful place names in the whole country. Finally, Malaysia, a fancy name. After Muddy Junction and Betelnut Island, we earned this one. Towering over all of it is Mount Kinabalu, the highest mountain in Malaysia and sacred to the Kadazan Dusun people, who have called this land home for a very long time. Now, in the old days, northern Borneo was claimed by two powerful sultanates, Brunei to the west and Sulu to the north. And in the 1800s, European traders started showing up, very keen to make deals for this land. And this is where it gets messy, through a series of agreements with both sultans, agreements that people still argue about today. These businessmen got their hands on North Borneo. To this day, whether those deals were a sale or just a lease is still debated. Hold that thought, it matters later. In 1881, those businessmen formed the British North Borneo Chartered Company, and they got a royal charter from Britain that led them to do something wild, actually govern the territory. Not just trade in it, but fully run it. Think about that, a private company, the kind that's supposed to sell you tea and rubber, was suddenly making the laws, collecting the taxes, running the police, and governing real people across a territory bigger than many countries. The company built towns, laid a railway, and planted huge estates of tobacco and rubber. They named their capital Sandakan, and it grew so wealthy from timber and trade that people nicknamed it Little Hong Kong. For over 50 years, this company ran North Borneo like its own private country. It's one of the strangest setups in the whole story of the region, and Sabah lived it for half a century. Then came the Second World War and Sabah's hardest years. Japanese forces occupied North Borneo, and the territory suffered terribly. This was the time of the Sandakan Death Marches, one of the most tragic events in the region's wartime history. We won't go into the painful details here, but it's remembered with deep respect, and it's part of why this land's story carries both pride and sorrow. By the time the war ended, the towns were in ruins and the chartered company was finished. It simply couldn't be rebuilt. So in 1946, it handed North Borneo over to the British Crown. As a crown colony, North Borneo slowly rebuilt. And then came the big question of the 1960s, the question that would decide its entire future. Should North Borneo stay as it was, go independent on its own, or join with Malaya, Singapore, and its neighbor Sarawak to form something brand new? This was debated seriously, and Sabah's leaders set out conditions to protect the state's rights before agreeing to anything. Those safeguards, famously known as the 20 points, were Sabah's way of saying, we'll join, but on terms that protect who we are. And in 1963, North Borneo joined Malaya, Singapore, and Sarawak to form the new nation of Malaysia. And with that, North Borneo took a new name, Sabah. Where does Sabah come from? Even that is debated. Some link it to a banana variety, some to the Malay word for a direction, some to older local words. Fittingly, a land of debated deals has a debated name too. Today, its capital is Kota Kinabalu, named after that magnificent mountain. So that's Sabah, the land below the wind, ruled by a company, tested by war, and reborn as a founding state of a free nation. Two Bornean neighbors, two of the strangest beginnings you'll ever hear, and both ended up helping build the same country. See you at the next story.